Everybody? Welcome to Toxic Hustle. My name is Jay Tragic Jeffrey, and today we are going to be talking about what is going on in business, the pivot that is happening, not just for companies themselves, but for employees, workers. And we're going to also, the big thing now is talking about what's going on with all of these automated robots that are out here, the real risk, which is not only the security, which that's pretty big in itself, but the greatest risk is the expenditure or the spending that you could end up with. So if you are interested in this information, please make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Now, as you can see on the screen, I wanted to have a little fun with this one. The bots are here, but running them, you're going to have to make it rain. And of course, we wanted to have the place where you make it rain, and that's at the strip club. And why are we doing this? Is because this is what companies are doing currently. They are throwing money up in the air and they're praying they're going to get something good out of it. Some people are earning, some people are making away with it, but it's not that you can automate things. It's what are you automating, and does it make sense to automate it? Not, or at least have AI run everything. Not everything needs AI. Yes, that's coming from me, who's big in tech. Not everything needs to have AI at the front of it. A lot of it is process, and a lot of process can be automated without the need for AI. And I'm telling customers that on a consistent basis. Like, hey, slow down. You're spending too much money out here. And what I want to show you is right here. This is a Facebook post where somebody is talking about, oh, you only have to spend a few dollars to get your bot running, a few dollars of token usage, but I feel you've never used these tools. You can easily spend $500,000 in tokens working with cost scaffolding, trying to do engineering work, which is true. You could spend thousands. I don't know about $500,000, depending on how big it is and how long you're having it run. Again, guardrails need to be in here, but people aren't thinking about that. They're like, oh, let me run to the store and get a device that has only a few gigabytes of video RAM. And for those of you that are not in a technical capacity, like a lot of these AIs need tons of video RAM. I mean, you should at least have 16 gigabytes to run a local model. Yes, you can get away with 8, but I'm running models on one of my computers, and the stuff that I'm getting out, I would just rather stay in ChatGPT or Claude and just do what I need to do in there and copy paste or work it into whatever I'm working with. Like if I'm doing a design in Photoshop, I'll have it work on a marketing campaign, and then some of those points I'll copy and paste the text into my Photoshop to do the design work. We've got to look at the fact that these things are expensive. Especially if you're just running them autonomously. They're expensive. So the goal is to keep your costs low. And it's not just one person. Spent $3,000 a month on API, but got done 4x what I would have paid a senior dev, 5 to 7,000 for the same amount of time. Notice what he said. I'm doing a specific task, and with that task is an output. Like instead of me paying a developer $5,000 a month to do this, I'll just take this on and do it myself because I have enough expertise to get there. Now, I've been talking to people online on X and being like seeing where they need help with AI, especially since we've launched our playbook on how you use AI for work, which I'll talk about later. People are spending money if you're doing it right, you're spending it to fix a task or to say, okay, I was spending this much, I can take on this work myself. I'm scaling up my workload, but I'm not having to outsource it, especially if you're doing it with Fiverr or something like that, where you may get mediocre work. Or and you're going to have to go through iteration of iteration, and there's only so much iterations you can do before the person's like, well, no, this, you have to spend more, or you're going to have to be okay with what you've got, and then have to do it yourself anyway, or give it to somebody that actually has the technical proficiency to give you what you need. But the spending that's going on is crazy. This person said, I got fooled by OpenClaw. Bought a Mac Mini, installed OpenClaw, spent $200 on Opus, and the lesson is, don't believe the hype. Now, some people just hear something that, oh, you can make thousands of dollars, but that's the hustle. Like everybody, if you look at LinkedIn, everybody's successful. Everybody's winning with AI. Everybody's making tens of thousands of dollars, but nobody's showing you proof. They're not showing you business, real world use cases. How are you actually winning? But then again, if you go back years ago, everybody was making money doing Amazon drop shipping. You go back before that, everybody was making money selling ebooks. Everybody could do Amazon sales. Everybody was making money. No, people were making money selling courses. So for years, I've been telling y'all what's coming with the AI switch. When I disappeared a couple years ago, when I saw ChatGPT come out, I told y'all I'm disappearing. I'm going to focus on ChatGPT. I'm going to focus on how do I use it for actual work. And it's been 3 years now. And I'm coming out the other side of that last year, actually doing work. By fall, outputting projects, well, I say late summer, outputting projects for clients that are getting accepted, because I refined the process to get a usable piece of content that the customer didn't know AI had anything to do with. I stopped trying to sell AI and started selling the solution. What do you need done? Okay, how does this look? Oh, it looks good. When? And what you're seeing is a lot of hype. A lot of huge hype talking about how much money you can make, and not all of that is true. Here's a perfect example. Now, unfortunately, my computer is going through some stuff right now. I'm still trying to fix it. So if you hear stuttering, my apologies. You'll get the point of what I'm talking about as I play this. But when people say the subscription arbitrage era is over, what they're talking about is using an AI subscription and then using that subscription to do some type of work. You're not going to be able to make any money in that gap because either A, it's oversaturated, which I don't believe, or B, you're spending so much that it doesn't make any sense. Here's proof of that.
I've got a Claude Max subscription that's $200 a month, but my token usage is in the hundreds of millions, right? And for every 1 million tokens of Claude is like $25. So let's say I'm at like 500 million tokens, 500 times 25, we're sitting at $12,500 that I would be spending on costs. Hopefully they don't take away the auth token in that process. But yeah, that's kind of the issue that a lot of these providers are seeing. Yeah,
wait,
and I think this also, yeah.
Ben, you're saying you're paying $200 per month, but you're spending about an equivalent of $12,500 per month in tokens?
I've got a Claude.
So he's spending close to $13,000, $12,500 or so in token spend. And he has to hopefully double that, or the service work is coming back, that it's, he's making a profit on that. But imagine that, $12,000 a month. Hopefully he's recouping that. I'll have to look deeper into this story because I just found this yesterday. And this is, as I was finishing the playbook and getting all of the the prompts into the playbook itself as far as packaging them up. I wanted to make sure everything that I was giving y'all was something that was usable. The entire book is over 159 pages of content, like for the two books. You got the regular AI, the AI playbook, and then you've got the prompt, business prompt and work playbook or workbook. And then of course you have the actual samples of the prompts where we break it up by sections of getting work done. But what I've been trying to do for the last few years is say, okay, how do I make this practical? How do I make this work to output something that a business will need, not something that I think about needing or what I want? It's like, okay, how do you solve real world business to business problems? And if you can't do that, then you're still in the AI hype zone. And I'm not there. I've got myself to a point where I'm no longer thinking, oh, AI is going to solve every problem or AI is going to cut all these jobs. It may happen in the future. It's not happening right now. You're watching companies, and I have to find, hold on. Okay, so here is the post or the article that discusses this. This was back last year. A company whose AI was actually 700 humans in India. Disaster as Microsoft-backed unicorn implodes. So Microsoft, who was buying up all these AI companies last year, red faces and recriminations are flying thick as fast after revelations that UK, so they're in the United Kingdom, so it's not some hidden Crouching Tiger hidden company, AI company Builder AI has been tricking customers and investors for 8 years, selling advanced code writing AI that it turns out is actually Indian software farm employing 700 human developers. Founded in 2016, the company, also known as Engineer AI, became the darling of the AI space and marketed itself so well that it attracted 700 million in the United States, that'll be 445 million investment from the likes of SoftBank, Qatar, and Microsoft, which integrated Builder AI into its team collaborative suite. So when people are telling you that AI is taking jobs, you have to put that on pause. Pause. You got to put it on pause for a second. It is not AI is taking jobs. It's not. There are portions of the work that are being diluted because of AI. Like if you're a graphic designer, I'm a graphic designer. Can I spend, and will a company allow me to spend 8 hours working on one image? Before? Yes. And could I charge $500 to $600 on that one image? Yes. But not just because of AI. With things like Canva, can these companies go in there and say, I'll just do it myself for cheaper? And will they? They have. Friction. Anything that's reducing friction is going to pivot that direction. It doesn't matter how we feel about it. They don't care. Nobody cares about our skill set and knowledge base. They don't care about the knowledge that you have in your head. They don't care about the amount of years you spent doing your craft. They care about the bottom line. Can I do it myself for the subscription cost? Or can I find somebody who's leveraging subscription costs to keep my costs down? Or do I have to pay somebody for their know-how? And when you were a graphic designer, you were just a graphic designer. You didn't have to be the marketer. These days, you might have to be. You might have to be thinking about not just designing something, but coming up with the entire marketing campaign. It doesn't matter how I feel about it. It's what I've had to do over the last year or the last few years. I went from being a graphic designer I went to becoming a web designer. I went to becoming a web developer and concentrating on content management systems and learning how to integrate designs into those content management systems. So a little bit of programming there, to figuring them, to one day realizing that it didn't matter how I felt about it. A company didn't need just a WordPress person anymore, or just a web developer anymore. They needed more. They needed potentially the entire marketing avenue of it. And I began last year, and the year before, actually 2 years ago, beginning to walk that direction. Last year, actually putting it to practice, and this year beginning to scale it up. Again, doesn't matter how I feel about it, I've had to make these changes in my life. Because if I don't, I would get left behind. And somebody who was willing to put in that work and willing to do and to keep those costs down was taking the jobs. I watched it with the venture capital firms I worked with, where it's, hey, here's my price, and them saying, I thought it was going to be cheaper than that. I'll go elsewhere because I can get it cheaper than that. And then I have no projects on my table. It doesn't matter how I feel about it. Nobody cares about our problems. They only care about their bottom line. So if you understand that, then you can kind of move in what's about to come down the pipe. So you can see here, I put Indian work increasing, Indian job postings expected to rise 23% in 2025, and a 9% salary hike projected for 2026. Sector growth demand. So I've been watching videos and watching people who are executives at, say, Amazon, or executives at credit card companies, are currently going through a nightmare where it's not AI, artificial intelligence, that they have to worry about. It's the other AI. Actually, Indians. No disrespect, but even Indian workers are saying, hey, we're going through a nightmare because we'll come over to the United States and we have a visa and it's kind of dangled over our head. We have to work 10, 12 hours a day, and if we don't, we'll get shipped back home. And then that's being pushed on employees now, like, hey, if you don't want to work your 8-hour day and don't want to do the extra stuff I want you to do, even if you're home, then, hey, I'll go get somebody else to do this. So we're watching the squeezing of what we want to have as work-life balance. Everybody, I want work-life balance. Nobody's caring about your work-life balance. Again, companies care about the bottom line. And how do you scale up your work? Unfortunately, that's how I've had to begin to see work, and not in a negative light. Like, hey, I have had to move into content, writing content, and falling in love with actually creating content, creating marketing. I was just a graphic person, and I didn't really want to know anything about the marketing. Just tell me what you want. Or as far as tell me what the messaging is, I'll come up with some type of design, but then I had to then get into designing presentations, or then I'll have to get into working with marketing teams to be able to get an understanding of what they need so that maybe we do an infographic. And back in the day, as a designer, that infographic might take me 3 to 4 days. Making sure I do all the icons, or sourcing the icons and piecing everything together. And then after 3 days, they'll say, that's not what I want. That's not what we're looking for. Let's try it again. I've charged you X amount of hours, and then now you're telling me, no, if I charge you 6 hours, right, to do an infographic, and I spent 5 hours on the infographic, sourcing material and doing the design, and then you're like, no, we got to do it again. I can't sit there and say, oh, well, you got to give me more money. No, I have to do that work. So if I do another round of design and you say, okay, we're almost there, well, now let's say I put another 3 hours in that, and then I put another 2 hours. You see how your time can balloon. Now I could sit there and say, hey, what is this? How does this look like? I use AI to give me iterations of an idea. And then once they say, hey, we like this idea, I'll say, okay, let me go ahead and start the design now. I can now iterate 4 or 5 times on the messaging and then kick out a finalized design in InDesign or an Illustrator or Photoshop. But now I can sit there and have a price, get to the messaging first. Now I'm not worried about the design so much as I'm worried about the messaging and making sure that I'm telling the right story. This is a change in how we have to start looking at our work. What story are we telling for businesses? How do we help a business grow? Like, really think about how we help them grow. Not just what my small knowledge worker of my specific job function is. So that's why I've been and have begun working on and released, it's now launched this. This is our playbook. Now, in this playbook, I've made some changes. So the important thing, and I'm just like, I showed you this in the other video, but this is all the stuff that you get inside the playbook. You also get prompt categories, but what you get has changed. So we have a 56-page main guide of how you can use AI for your business or your work. So the practicality of it. We have a 44-page guide of practical AI prompt usage. I think there's like 63 prompts and how you can use them in specific segments. And then what we did was we created 6 prompt packs that deal with covering communication, content repurposing, meetings, proposals, research, and SOPs, standard operating procedures, and how you can get AI to output work for you, right? And that is important. Now, again, price is going up later this year as we add more to this course. Or not, I won't say course. This is a playbook. This is how we've been working at condensed 2 years of information condensed so that you get to the practicality of using AI. So if you're an AI novice and you've just been messing around with it, I wanted to give you something where you get past all the hocus pocus cloud smoke and mirrors, and how do you use AI to get work done. That's important, because what we've been doing is, if we go over to the use case work, we've been able to output work for clientele, right? We've been able to output work, whether it's construction companies, whether it's a contractor or some specialized ERP company. I have more coming down the line, but what we've been concentrating is how do we get work done for clientele? And how do we keep it at a price where they can get some benefit out of it and want to do reoccurring work with you? How do you handle marketing campaigns? One of the bigger things we'll be rolling out later down the line is how do you then do promotion, marketing, video, all that stuff. That's the next playbook that we'll be working on. As we're now beginning, how do you manage social profiles? How do you grow social profiles? Before we can give you a book for that, we're beginning to walk that line ourselves. But how to handle work and get work done, we have it here for you. And it's important that you see that and like, why is this important? Why give away this information? We, again, if you haven't seen the other video, we're giving away this information because we are trying to build a directory that you can begin to put your work in here or promote yourself in here. So as clients come through, if they don't want to spend on us, because we put our prices straight out on Front Street. If you go down to the bottom, you see, we tell you how much, like what we're doing and how much it costs. And if you don't want to work with us, that's fine. we still want you to get work done, and that's why we're working on a directory where people can promote their services, take advantage of the fact that we're out here marketing ourselves. And you can, if the people go to the directory and they see, oh, well, I don't want to work with Toxic Hustle quite yet, I don't think I have the budget for them, I can go over here and here's some people that have been vetted that I can get work done. And that's important to us. We want to be able to get clients that, if whether you work with us or not, we still want you to get your work done. That's more important than just us selling our services, because we're going to get our clients regardless. What's important is, are you getting what you need? And if you are just getting into AI, then we want to be able to help you up your career. Because you may be thinking, I might need to pivot. You might be working in an office, or you worked in an office and you've been laid off, and you're like, they did all these cutbacks. How do I move into another position? You can position yourself to double your income. Not if you're doing 100,000 already. Sorry, if you're on the lower line of 50, 60,000, you can position yourself to get up to 100,000, close to 120,000, depending on your skill and what you offer, depending on your output, depending on the results you can drive. Because at this point, it's going to be proof. It's not going to be whether or not your resume looks good, though we do have prompts to help you with your resume. But it's going to be the proof that you can get the job done. And what can you do? How can you help the business? Because the business doesn't care at all what your needs are. The business is, my bottom line is, this is what I have to accomplish. This is what I have to accomplish this quarter. This is what I have to accomplish this year. Are you there to help us get there? Or are you a hindrance driving our bottom line down? And as you're watching right now, companies are still continuing and will continue to lay off what they consider dead weight as they're making more pivots. Companies are needing to become media companies. Do you know how to create video? Do you know how to edit video? Do you know how to create scripts? Do you know how to tell a story? Can you write content? Do you know how to market content? Do you know how to drive leads, sales? Do you know how to do reporting and give good insights? All of these things are important. Not to say you have to do all of those things, but you're going to have to find out what the companies need and position yourself for that. Go online, look in Indeed, see the job openings, see look at digital marketing. It's starting to boom. Companies need help. And are you in position to help them? This is why we created this playbook, and this is why it's available. This is also why we launched it at a low price. Not that it's not, again, it's over 159 pages and going to continue to grow. Not because the content in there is weak. It's because the content is good. It's needed. But we wanted to make sure you're not blowing your budget out. And no, it's not a monthly thing. It's not a monthly subscription. It's a one-time cost. And you'll continue to get updates. This is real-world work that we have put in to getting our projects done and what we're using. And it's a thought. How do you change your mind to position your mind for the growth that you're going to need to do for other businesses and other companies and yourself? It's not just focusing on companies. The fact is, you can use this for yourself, and you need to, because you're going to need to market you. Getting a web page up is not as hard as it used to be. Getting a design now is not as hard as it used to be. But driving a message that can actually get you sales, that's always going to be a needed skill set. And then proof that you can get those sales are also going to be a needed skill set. They're going to be like, show me your proof. Show me a campaign that you've done. Or show me how you helped a business. Like, I've done stuff where I've helped companies optimize their process. That's not marketing. That's saying, hey, where's your bottleneck? How much is that costing you? I know a way that we can reduce your cost like such and such and such, because I've taken the last few years to focus on that. I focused on process first and automation first before AI was a big thing. And then as AI has grown, I've figured out how to sprinkle it into an automated process if needed. But for the most part, most companies don't need that. What they need is results for sales, leads for sales, more visibility. And you don't need a bunch of automation for that. You just need an optimized process that gets the job done at a lower cost. We've got to think that everyone's, like, all countries have been pretty much become, all countries are now, you can't just think that you can, especially in America, you've got to think like a third world country now. We have to think like we're working out of third world country. Look at Fiverr, it'll prove it. You can't charge the same price that you could 5 years ago, no matter how you feel about it. Some people can. But I've even seen on Fiverr, the amount of leads has dropped tremendously. Where I would get leads on there, even just doing small projects, I could still catch leads off of that and just use it as a way to funnel new clientele in, even while I'm working with my venture capital companies. But I've noticed the drop off. And what I've had to do is begin the other process of marketing. How do I create infographics? How do I create videos? How do I do more work to visibly show our results? That's going to be important for you as well. So if you're interested, I suggest you go ahead and sign up. We've launched. It's $29. That is not that the information is not good. In fact, okay, let me show you what is in this pack. So this is your workbook. In the workbook, you can see you get the mental model, why it matters, how to think like an operator, the employee playbook, reduce drag and improve your output, the entrepreneur playbook, proposals, research, positioning, and systems. Part 4 is content marketing and authority. Turn your knowledge into real business assets. So we're already trying to help you with content and marketing, because that's important. Not just to create stuff, but how do you also tell a story and to get the marketing out? Business models, risk, future proofing, which is the way the wind is blowing, and implementation templates and your 30-day start plan. Right, and then we have all this content in here. So it's not some cheesy little book. You're getting real good information in here for that. Now, if we look at the prompt playbook, you can see the practical AI prompt playbook. Let's close this out. And then what you see is the prompt foundations, how to ask better, understand what makes a strong business prompt versus a weak one, structuring better, output better, review better, and then how to break down a prompt. So it's not me giving you a huge 1,000 prompt library. Nobody's using that. I thought we were going to go in that direction. We didn't go in that direction. We've actually reduced the amount of prompts we're using, because you're doing the same work over and over again, and you're pretty much reusing the same micro prompts. Or you need to think, for this, what I'm working on, you just pull up prompts out of your head. Here's my strategy for this, or here's my strategy for that, or here's what I need, this is what I need. It's how do you think like the machine, or give the machine what it needs, so it gives you the output you need for this particular project. Not every project is going to use the same prompt, and you can't approach everything the same way. But at least what we're giving you is a way to get the information that you need, right? And the last thing is, inside here, we're gonna show you, you got your communication pack. So now I'm going to close that out, because I don't want to give up all the goods. And most likely you can pause and see everything else in there. But you can go into these communication packs and get all of the information that you need for a project. Actually, hold on. This is actually the pack. So this is the communication pack, because that's the free one that we're going to be giving away. So I can show you that. I can send. That's going to be part of the email list when you register. It's going to be free. But here you can rewrite an email for clarity, draft, difficult, but respectful message, turn this thread into a simple update, draft client onboarding email, rewrite support responses for clarity, create expectation setting language, turn project notes into a client facing update, draft team updates. So this is just communication, right? And if, let's say, you want to do content, right, this here is all turn a topic into a content pillars. We have all this information. There is like 70 something prompts that are in all, like 70 something prompts that you get here, and these just get to work. So we give you an easy way to just get working. Not some huge library where you're not going to use it. You can intermix and intermingle these prompts to get real world work done. So please go to the website, grab this bundle. It's going to help you get work done. It's going to teach you the mental model to everything that I had to learn, everything I've been stumbling across and beating my head against the wall to try to figure out. I'm giving that to you. Now, of course, I'm not giving it away free, but it's still at a price point where it makes sense. And I want you to have this and get this so that you can start preparing yourself for how do I use these tools to get things done. And if you were already at a job, you can keep your job because they can see, oh, wow, you've been speeding up and you know what you can do and what you can't do with AI. Or you can do some stuff at home with, not private information, but you can do some stuff at home that can help. Like, let me take these reports that I need to do, and I can summarize some stuff like this. And if your team is already using Microsoft and they're using that internal model from Microsoft, and it's already like through the Office 365 AI, if you already have that, you can use these tools with that chat. Or if they're using Claude for Teams, you can use that with that. If you're using OpenAI for Teams, you can use this for that. It still goes across all of these systems. Or if they've come up with their own internal AI uses that they're doing, then you can begin testing to see whether or not this works for that AI model. This is based off of the top models that are out, Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini. Even though I don't get Gemini it can't work as good as Claude and OpenAI. I like OpenAI just because I've trained mine to do the work that I need. If you like Claude, it doesn't matter which one you use. Pick a tool and use it and get good at it. But with that, I want to say thank you for spending time. Please be sure that you come to the website, grab this. The price will be going up as we add more modules down the line. We'll be adding them probably in the next few weeks, if not within the next month. So the prices will be going up as we add big model packs in here. Remember, people who win this shift won't be the ones who panic. They'll be the ones who learn how to use AI to become clearer, faster, and harder to replace. And with that, I want to thank you for your time. My name is Jay Tragic Jeffrey for Toxic Hustle, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care.